Since the opening of the Cahill Expressway in 1958, Sydney has embraced the motorway with open arms. Following their widespread adoption pioneered by the likes of the $350 billion Australian dollar US federal aid post-war stimulus, Sydney has been able to reap the benefits of fast, efficient, safe and inexpensive transport, with citizens granted a newfound level of freedom in mobility. In this video, I thought I would cover the history of Sydney's motorways, their numerous benefits, the future expansion of the network, and the many advantages of motorway transport over public transport. As mentioned, the Cahill Expressway was the first motorway to be constructed in Sydney, extended in 1962 to Woolloomooloo. In 1968, the Warringah Freeway opened, creating one of the most horrendous scars, giving residents of the lower North Shore unprecedented access to the city. In 1969, a detached section of motorway opened, Southern Cross Drive, stretching to the northeast of Sydney's growing airport. 1971 saw the initial phases of the Western Freeway open, with 5 kilometres of road available in Penrith. This was swiftly followed by an extension to the current site of the magnificent and captivating Light Horse Interchange. In 1972, the Western Distributor opened, although without the Anzac Bridge, which was opened later in 1995. In 1973, the new, motorway standard Hume Highway saw its first traffic, ferrying cars to and from Campbelltown and the Southern Highlands. 1974 saw the extension of the Western Freeway further east, and in 1975 the South Coast was able to experience the wonder of high-speed vehicular transport with the opening of the Southern Freeway from Waterfall to Bulli Tops. In 1978 the Warringah Freeway was modestly extended to Miller Street in North Sydney. In 1982 a section of the Western Motorway was opened through Parramatta, creating a critical new artery for what would become Sydney's second CBD. At the same time, another isolated section opened through Silverwater. In 1984, the Silverwater section was extended towards, but not connected to, the Parramatta section. In 1985, the first section of the Southwestern Freeway opened, connecting to the existing Hume Highway. In 1988, Southern Cross Drive was extended further towards the airport, as well as the final connection between Parramatta and Silverwater. And in 1989, the Sydney to Newcastle Freeway opened from Wahroonga to Berowra, allowing all urban corridors out of Sydney to enjoy the extreme luxury of motorway travel. Finally, in 1992, the final section of the Western Motorway was completed, allowing travel from the base of the Blue Mountains all the way to Strathfield. That same year, the Gore Hill Freeway opened, connecting the Warringah Freeway to the Pacific Highway and creating a transport revitalisation through otherwise quiet suburban Artarmon. This was supplemented by the opening of the Sydney Harbour Tunnel, which paralleled the route of the Cahill Expressway, but unlike that, it is not a completely hideous eyesore over our greatest tourist attraction. The planners of the day, in their infinite wisdom, thought it best to retain the Cahill Expressway, as its cultural value from things like fully surrounding a local primary school and completely ruining Circular Quay, Government House and the whole northern part of Macquarie Street, combined with its use as extra lanes, proven to increase traffic flow, meant it was of incalculable importance to the city. Also in 1992, wow, this year was truly revolutionary for transport in Sydney. The Southwestern Freeway was extended to Beverly Hills. In 1994, the Casula Bypass opened, connecting the Southwestern Freeway to the Hume Highway. In 1997, the Hills Motorway, the first to carry the new road name, opened in full between North Ryde and Winston Hills. In 1999, the Cahill Expressway and Southern Cross Drive were connected by the Eastern Distributor, which was so diligently designed in a trench to avoid creating too much of an uncrossable barrier for local residents. In 2001, the M5 East Motorway completed the missing link between the rest of the Southwestern Freeway and Southern Cross Drive. In 2005, the Cross City Tunnel opened, opening a convenient, fast route under the CBD. Of course, no one uses it ever because the toll's too expensive. In 2005, a whopping 40 kilometres of brand new motorway opened in Western Sydney, with the M7 Westlink motorway connecting the M2 and M5, with a connection to the Western Freeway. The Lane Cove Tunnel opened in 2007, connecting the Gore Hill Freeway with the M2, bypassing Epping Road. In 2013, a new system of numbering was introduced, and many motorways had their names changed to correspond to the M designation. Examples include the renamed M4 Western Motorway and M1 Pacific Motorway. A disappointingly long gap of motorway development ended in 2019 with the exciting opening of North Connex, later designated the M11, a tunnel connecting the M2 to the M1 at Wahroonga. The M4 East Tunnel extended the M4 to Haberfield as well. The first stage of the M8 tunnel to St Peters, the site of a phenomenal new interchange, also opened in 2019. In 2023, the new M4 and 8 tunnels were connected, allowing a new motorway route avoiding the CBD and allowing M4 traffic to bypass Parramatta Road completely, with a tunnel portal leading directly to both City West Link and the Western Distributor. This brings us to the present day, where Sydney is encircled with various critical motorway arteries. Cars give the highest degree of freedom to travellers, allowing them to go wherever they want, whenever they want. Thus, as motorways allow cars to bypass urban traffic congestion and travel faster, they substantially increase the freedom offered by private transport. Critics often argue that they can divide regions. However, I see this as a good thing. Instead of having to redraw an imprecise line to divide suburbs across regular suburban streets, boundaries can be drawn straight down the middle of the motorway. Take, for instance, the suburbs around St Mary's in Sydney's west. The boundaries between St Mary's and St Clair, and between Colyton and St Clair, are clearly defined by the M4 motorway. However, the boundary between St Mary's and Colyton runs straight up a suburban street, bending even around certain individual properties. There are numerous other benefits to motorway construction. In very built-up areas, motorways serve as a visual reminder of the wealth and progress of the city, and in sleepy suburbs, they can promote a more active lifestyle by forcing residents to leave their homes before peak hour traffic begins. Safety too is a benefit. Cars provide an unparalleled margin of safety to their occupants, with features like crumple zones and their ever-increasing weight sure to save the lives of those inside. Sydney has a bright motorway future. In 2028, the M8 Western Harbour Tunnel will open, connecting the wondrously successful Rozelle Interchange to the breathtaking Warringah Freeway, which is currently being widened to allow more people to travel in more comfort. When this opens, it will allow far easier access from places like Chatswood and North Sydney to Sydney's west. Additionally, Stage 1 of the M6 tunnel will open in 2028, with unfortunately a 3-year delay caused by tunnel subsidence in 2024. The M12 will open with Western Sydney's new airport, allowing unprecedented access to the rest of the world for locals and unprecedented access to Sydney for visitors. There is also the despicable case, however, of the Northern Beaches link, a proposed continuation of the M8 to Seaforth, bypassing Military Road and the Spit Bridge. Despite the numerous catastrophic environmental impacts of the project, the need to provide more access for private cars should have been prioritised. I am truly disgusted by the current state government's decision to cancel this project. Finally, I want to discuss the benefits of investing in more motorways over public transport, particularly expensive and unreliable metros. Obviously, there is a supremely superior level of comfort in private transport. However, the benefits don't stop there. Being able to use private transport from door to door means users never have to use their legs, and by expending less energy and allowing their muscles to disintegrate, they need not eat as much food. As we know, the growing of food is a top contributor of Australia's water crisis, so this is also a massive benefit. Also, public transport is deeply unreliable and expensive for users. A full fare-paying adult can pay up to $50 a week for public transport, whereas the marvellous toll cap is a mere $60 a week. For that extra $10, you can travel on any motorway in the state. The metro is also expensive for taxpayers, with massive construction costs never to be recouped by ticket sales. The metro is also very unreliable, with 1 in every 100 passengers concerned their service will not arrive on time. Clearly, we should be spending more money on mega motorway tunnels and far less on metro lines and other public transport infrastructure. I hope you've enjoyed this very factual analysis of motorways in Sydney. If you'd like to learn more about why I love funding for more roads, I'm sure you'll love the other videos on this channel. I'd like to thank my channel members who generously fund my tolls, rego, license, insurance, running costs and petrol, and I'd like to thank you for watching.